and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a favorites video, but instead of doing the month of June alone, I'm doing a favorites video containing all the products I've loved in 2021 so far. This is a very popular video idea that's been going around like wildfire, and I just wanted to do my little take on it. I really like these kind of videos because I see a lot of things that I recognize and I see a lot of new things, and I don't know, I guess I like repetitiveness. So I hope you like repetitiveness too, because a lot of these products actually appeared in favorite videos of mine in previous months, but not all of them, of course. I had to make some sort of selection, so that's what I did. By the way, the makeup I'm wearing is all featured in this video, but I'll list it down below so you know what exactly is on my face. So this year I've really been into foundations and other complexion products. That's what I noticed. So at first I had 6 foundations to list as my favorite, most of which did come out this year. By the way, not all of these products are brand new this year. Some of them I just discovered this year. Just a little side note. I narrowed it down to 4. So I'm going to talk about 4 foundations, but before I do, I want to mention one type of primer that I've really been getting into lately, and it's these kinds of primers. So this is the YSL Blur Primer and this is the Lancôme La Base, and they basically do the same thing. They smooth out your skin. So I'm sure they're very silicone heavy, but they make a very, like, this is my normal skin and then this is this skin. You see how much easier everything glides on when I use this primer? Well, I discovered that one of my not on this list favorites, the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation, was actually so thick that without a proper primer I couldn't apply it easily on my face. It got very streaky and very heavy, and I needed a lot more than was actually pretty. So I started using the Lancôme La Base and it was perfect. I only needed a little bit, I spread it out all over my face and it looked beautiful. So that foundation instantly became a favorite. And then I started using the primer in combination with other matte foundations as well. So I discovered that the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation also looks prettier on top of a smoothing primer. And today I'm actually combining it with the Guerlain Haute Perfection L'Essentiel Foundation, which is also a very good combination. So what I used to do was that I took illuminating primer underneath a matte foundation, but now I just do the illumination on top, and I usually use one of these smoothing primers for underneath matte foundations. So the only matte foundation that's actually part of this list is the same one I just mentioned. I have mine in the shade 00N. This is actually the counterpart of the L'Essentiel foundation that came out a couple of years ago, which is in the luminous finish. Both of them are high coverage, but this one is more matte. And I'd like to say it's sort of a demi matte. It's not flat matte. So this is a part where I definitely did not put highlighter. You can still see a little bit of a glow. And it could also be the YSL primer. It does have little gold specks in it. I don't think you can see those, but I just wanted to be upfront about that. I really like this foundation because it's so perfecting, but it's so light. It doesn't really look so thick. And sometimes I like that look, so then I use the Huda foundation. But this is a foundation I've discovered I pick out for any occasion. When I'm going into town and I have to wear a mask, I'll wear this foundation. When I'm just having a casual Zoom meeting with someone, I'll still pick out this foundation because it does look a little bit more naturally flawless. So I don't have to worry about it fading or streaking or, I don't know, something annoying like that. It's just going to stay on my face for a long period of time, even when I'm sweating and even in the heat, and I can count on this foundation to work. The other 3 I'm going to mention are very different, but I still love them because I really discovered skin tints this year. I never used to wear those. I always wore my high coverage foundations, but now I'm slowly dabbling into skin tints. I'd like to mention the Dior Forever Nude first. This one I have in the shade 1N, and it is a little bit too dark for me, although it's hard to tell, but I'm actually a little bit darker than I was 2 months ago. So it's starting to match a little bit better. This one I'd like to mention in conjunction with the Glowish by Huda. So these sort of do the same thing, except that this one is a little bit more high coverage. They both give a shiny finish, or at least a slightly luminous or very luminous finish with, I'd say, light to medium coverage. It's still quite decent. And they both look very flawless. So your skin just looks radiant and smooth, and I don't know. I guess mostly this one looks very smooth, but it does stay a little bit more tacky than this one. And this one is a little bit more glowy, but I'll show you. I'll just pump a little bit out. And most people found this foundation too glowy for their liking, but I've discovered that it's actually the right kind of glow. So you can see there's a sort of pearly sheen right here, but it's not intensely sticky. It's actually going to dry down a little bit more than this. So it's a very long-lasting glowy foundation because it's not actually dewy or wet. It's just there's a shine in the foundation, and that's the way I like my shiny products to be. So the Dior is also very pretty. It's actually a better foundation, I think, but this one is actually more dewy and wet and a little bit less pearly luminous. So it depends on what you like. I think when my skin feels very dry, I want to wear this one. It's just, it feels so nice. Both of these are very comfortable. I think they're, in my review of this product, I actually called it fluffy. And it is. It feels a little bit soft and moussey on your skin. And the same counts for the Dior foundation. Then finally, I want to mention the Fenty skin tint, the Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I have mine in the shade 1. This is a unique product for me because it's actually more of a natural matte finish instead of the glowy ones I just mentioned. But the coverage is still light. So I feel like this does look natural. I don't know, you can tell I have something on my face, but it doesn't look too heavy and it's not extremely glowy. It's a very weird product, but I find that it's very easy to wear when I'm around people that don't wear a lot of makeup. So my best friends, my colleagues at the university, well, I should say co-students because I'm not working at the university. They don't really wear makeup, or at least not a lot of it. And I do like to wear some makeup to my classes. So then I wear something like this. I used to wear something like this, which I still do from time to time. But I like to wear this when I'm around people that don't wear a lot of makeup because I look a little bit nicer, but it's not too showy. It's a nice light product. It does fade quite quickly when you touch your face and wearing a mask and everything, but I don't think it looks very ugly when it fades. So those are all my foundation recommendations. I think that was quite a lot. Like I said, I wanted to mention more. I did not try any concealers this year that came out. I don't think there were many concealers that came out. But I'd like to quickly mention two that I have been reaching for a lot. The Pat McGrath concealer is the one that I bought this year, and also the Instant Age Rewind by Maybelline. I really like these two. I especially like the Pat McGrath because I find that because you can build up the coverage, it's very versatile and the color seems to be always right. So today I'm wearing it a little bit more glam. I did dull it down with a powder, which I'll get into later. But if I want to, I can pair this with a brightening powder and then it's very heavy, which I sometimes like. But I can also sheer it out and keep it natural, and then it's very naturally flawless. And this one I just use when I want a naturally flawless. So my main pro with this product is that it doesn't crease as much as any other concealer does. This one also creases less, but still a little bit when I don't set it enough, or just in general. And I find that Maybelline doesn't crease on me. And also the color is nice and bright, but it is a little bit more sheer. I tried one new powder this year, or well, I think I tried a couple, but I have one favorite powder, and this is the Dior Cushion powder. I have mine in the shade Fair. This is a loose powder that's distributed between a little net that goes over the cushion. There's a little puff that comes with it, a little mirror in it. This is the ultimate luxury product, but the powder is also very good. So I discovered while doing this selection that my focus is very much on high-end products, and I guess I already knew that. I did try quite a bit of drugstore products as well, but not as many made it to my list. I guess packaging does mean something to me, and I do use it more often when I like the way the product looks. So I think that's the reason this one made the list. Because honestly, I do have one drugstore powder, or I finished it up, but the John van G, I don't know, I think it's just a Dutch brand. I really like that powder as well. I think I like them equally. But today I wanted to mention this one. It's not brightening, but it's not darkening either, so that's okay. I can use this all over my face, but I won't have that extremely highlighted effect, which I don't always want. Sometimes I use a brightening powder right here, and then I'll set the rest of my face with this powder. This is so soft. It sets your makeup quite easily. It doesn't take away all of the shine, and it still feels a little bit more velvety. So that's all I want in a powder. I'm going to stay in the same line of products, but I'm going to skip over to bronzer, because my favorite bronzer this year has been the Forever Natural Bronze by Dior. This is from the same line. It also has this padding, but this product was a lot more hyped up on the internet, I found. I have mine in the shade 4, which is a nice neutral shade for me, so it's not too orange, and it does shade my face a little bit. I'm not wearing it now, but that's the way it is. And I like this one because it looks slightly more natural than maybe like the Benefit Hoola or something. That's quite a heavy powder, but it's still pigmented enough that it shows. And also I don't need to set my foundation before using this. I can actually use this to set the perimeters of my face without it looking patchy. And that's something I really appreciate, because if you use something like the Huda Glowish, like the Glowish skin tint, it's kind of a shame if you have to dull everything down with a lot of powder. So I don't always want to do that. So that's where this bronzer comes in handy. I'll swatch it. So it's very soft. That's the swatch. So it's not really that intense, but it is buildable, and it's a velvet matte finish. The other bronzer I've been really loving is the Glowish bronzer by Huda. So I discovered that Huda and her sister brand really did very well this half year for me. I think almost everything I tried from her is in this video. So that was a fun discovery for me. This is such a cushiony, velvety, creamy bronzer. I just want to say it, it's delicious. I could eat it if it was candy. It's a little bit more cool toned. It's actually very similar in tone to the other bronzer. This is the lightest shade. It is the shade Light. And I don't know, there's something about this bronzer, especially when combined with the Glowish skin tint, that it looks so airbrushed and soft. And it is a little bit radiant, but not too much. It's not dewy or shiny or anything like that, but it's just soft and pretty, but it's still effective. And I don't know, I really like the packaging too. I know a lot of people didn't like this, but I found it aesthetically pleasing. Now, imagine my shock when I found out that I don't have a favorite blush. I don't. I really just pick whatever. I want a nice blush. I have something in mind. I wanna buy the Chanel blush in Reflex. Or Reflect. It's like a nudie shade. But as of now, I don't really have a favorite blush. I just pick whatever face palette is in front of me, which I use for the mirror, and I just pick one of those. So I'll skip into the face palettes now. The blush from the Charlotte Tilbury face palette is very pretty. That's actually what I'm wearing right now. It's a little bit glowy. This is of course highlighter, but still. It's this very pretty, soft, peachy pinky shade, and I've been really liking this, and I've also been really liking the rest of this palette, but I find myself reaching for it just for the blush quite a bit. So I also really like this bronzer. The powder is a little bit dark, and actually half the time I forget it's there. I've already set my face when I'm going into this palette, which is a good thing because this really darkens my concealer. As an all over face powder, it's fine, it's beautiful, but well, it should have been a little bit lighter, I think. Because, of course, I have mine in the lightest shade, which is Pretty Blushed Beauty. I have these eyeshadows, which are very pretty. And then the highlighter I actually use quite a lot too. And almost all the indentations are gone. So that should show you how much I use this. It has a nice big mirror. So I like to use my face palettes when I'm doing my makeup. And then sometimes I use some of the products, but I always use the mirror. My other favorite face palette is this one from Nars. This is the Full Dimension #1, the lightest shade. There is actually also a darker version. This is what it looks like, and it's quite dark for the light version. This is the bronzer, which is a little bit deeper than the other two. And a lot more pigmented. So I go for this one when I have a cool toned eye and I really want that chiseled, bronzed effect. Then I go into this palette. And then I usually also pick one of the two blushes because those are both fine. They're actually quite pretty, but not very special. And then I really like this highlight, but I like it as a blush topper because it's a little bit too dark to be an actual highlight for me. Which is something that I discovered from a lot of face palettes in the past couple of years. I don't really mind, I like blush toppers as well. So those are my two favorite face palettes. Now I do have two separate highlights I want to mention. My favorite highlighter this year is this one by Heart Revolution. This came out with their Aristocats collection, and it's this beautiful, this is a very weird place to swatch. This beautiful pinky lavender kind of shade, and I like this so much because it's just an original shade and the sheen is nice. So I found this the best thing I found at the drugstore this year. I also really like the Dior Luminizer. So I don't have it right here, but now I'm thinking about it, that's also very pretty. I also have the peachy pink shade of that one. For Dior I actually picked out something from the Dior Backstage collection for my highlighter. This is the Dior Backstage Glow Face palette in Pure Gold, #3. And I've especially been loving this shade, and I also use this shade. And these two I have to use as eyeshadow or something. But every time I want something gold and warm and like right now something summery, I reach for this one. I really like this. So for eyeshadow, this is tricky because in the first couple of months of the year, I think eyeshadow was my favorite thing, as it has always been. But now the foundations have kind of taken over, and even though I still love doing eyeshadow, my passion for some of these has dwindled just a little bit, but I still love them, so I don't know why I'm bothering to mention it. What's on my eyes today is actually the Viseart Soleil La Plage, which is their summer palette, and it's this one. And this is just so beautiful. It's so appropriate for any occasion. It's so sparkly and nice without being too much in your face. I especially love this blue shade, and I like how it matches my dress. But I also really enjoy this yellow shimmer. And then these more bronzy tones and this red are also very pretty, but I don't use those as often. Not that I don't want to, it's just I don't wear warm toned clothes very often. So I don't know, I always feel like my eyeshadow has to match my outfit. This palette I've really used a lot and I love it. Then another favorite is this one by Huda. Like I said, she's in this video a lot. This is the Brown Obsessions Caramel palette. And it's the orange one. And almost every time I do wear warm toned clothes, I pair it with this eyeshadow palette. This did not get very good reviews, but I really like it. On my skin tone, everything shows up perfectly. I'm sure that's part of the reason why it works better on me than other people. But I'm just going to swatch a couple. I mean, This is nice, right? I found these very metallic, but I'll say I didn't have many Huda palettes to compare it with. So I think that's what people said, that it wasn't as good as her other Obsessions or the larger palettes. But I mainly like the color story, and I also like the quality actually, yeah. And one of my more recent favorites is this Amrezi palette. Amrezi, I'm not sure. From Anastasia Beverly Hills, of course. And I've been using this one a ton as well. I've been loving doing any kind of look I want with this. So I can go very pink, very brown, very purple, even go a little bit more blue. I thought I would use the blue one the most, like every time, but I'm not. I actually use these three the most. This one is actually very special because there's a green flip in it. Green, bluish, maybe turquoise. So I found that this palette is actually very nice and original, and I used it a lot. It's not new this year, but it was my favorite so far. I think that's all the eyeshadow palettes I'm going to mention right now. At the end of the year I'll do an eyeshadow palette ranking, and I'll rank all the eyeshadow palettes I tried this year, and I think that'll be a lot of fun, but for now this'll do. I do want to mention a couple of eyeliners. I have these Pastel Dreams eyeliners from LA Girl, and LA Girl is not a brand you can get in the Netherlands very easily, but I discovered they are for sale on Boozy Shop, which is a Dutch, what do you call it? Wholesale company. And they're affordable enough, and I really like the quality. So I think I started with these two, and then I started wearing a lot of yellow, and I really wanted a yellow one. And now I actually also really want a purple one, like a light lilac. I just want all of these. I think they also have a green one, and I also want that one. These are just fun, and I don't know, I like them. They're not intensely pigmented, so they do take a little while to build up, but they work, they're fine. For mascara, I actually tried my new favorite mascara this year, which is the Catrice Lift Up. So this is a very cheap option. I think it's like €3 or something. And I have the waterproof version, and I'm not wearing it right now, but it makes my lashes look 3 times as big, 1.5 times as long, or maybe 2 times as long. And it makes them hold the curl a little bit more. So I really like this one. I feel like it makes my lashes look very big and dramatic. I should really get a new tube by now. This one has been a couple of months old, and it is starting to dry out. I did try other mascaras this year, but this is my favorite. I really recommend it. I'm not sure how the normal version would work. That's in the red tube. Maybe I'll give that a shot as well, but the Lift Up mascara, highly recommend. So we're down to the final couple of things. I want to really quickly mention a couple of false lashes. These are not available for everyone because they're from the Douglas Home brand, but I just have to mention them. These are the 2 styles I have. I especially like this one. It's in the shade, or the style Smoky. And these are really nice and dramatic without covering half my eye, so you can still see the eyeshadow. I really like these. And then these are a little bit longer, but they are a little bit more see-through, so they still show enough of your eyeshadow. And these are in the shade Ultra Volume. They were actually on sale in my Douglas a little while ago, so recommend those as well. Then I want to mention one liquid eyeshadow. This is one from e.l.f. and it's a beautiful black glittery eyeshadow. Look at that. This is so beautiful when you do a black smoky eye. I did a really dramatic look while I was on vacation, and I used this glitter with it. It was so pretty. I don't think all the shades of this glitter are pretty. I think the blue one is actually a little bit less opaque, a little bit less shiny as well. But I am interested in picking up the white or the silver, because these just, well, these are very, very pretty. And they didn't crease as much, I found. It didn't crease at all. It's very light. The formula is very light. Then finally we have lip products, and I do have a couple here to mention. My favorite lip products this year were by Charlotte Tilbury. I've been wearing bullet lipsticks most of the time, and most of the time they were from her, because I did receive a couple of shades for my birthday and for Christmas, and I don't know, I think I also just bought one randomly, and I love all the shades. I have Live It Up, Secret Selma, Miranda May, and Angel Alessandra. Oh, and Patsy Red. I actually have 5 of them and I love all of them, but I selected 2 to show here. My most used lipstick this year has to be Live It Up. Look, it's almost, well, not almost, but it's halfway gone already. This is in the Kissing formula. And I really like how thick this lipstick is. And it really stays on your lip for quite a long time. And I find myself reaching this for cool toned eyeshadow looks. So especially in the winter, this was my best friend. Then the other Charlotte Tilbury lipstick I've really been loving is this one. The Patsy Red. This is in the Heart Revolution formula. And a little tip I received, or well, I took from a video from Mel Thompson, is that when you really layer up these lipsticks, they become so nice and opaque, and they become really creamy and almost shiny in a very juicy kind of way without being actually shiny. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it looks so soft when you do it like that. So that's what I've been doing. I've really been pounding these on. Then a lipstick that actually came out this year, if I'm not mistaken, was the Rouge Coco Bloom lipsticks by Chanel. This is what they look like, and I have one shade which is 140 Alive, and this is such a beautiful metallic red. And these lipsticks are so opaque. And they do stain the lips a little bit, so they last a long time. But I like to reapply them a lot, so they are nice and shiny. And then finally, the lipstick I'm wearing right now is a very interesting favorite, because this is a cool tone brown, which I found very cool. And pun not intended. It's actually the new lipstick formula by Huda Beauty. So it's the cream lipstick in the shade Gold Digger. This packaging is great, by the way. It's magnetic. And I really like this shade. I don't think it's the most flattering on me, but I love the way it looks. I just think it looks so cool and edgy, and I really like it with this tone of eyeshadow in my crease. And I feel like it instantly glams up a look. Like yesterday I wore this almost exactly the same makeup, but I wore it with a more neutral, warm leaning brown, and it was a completely different effect. So I found that very interesting. Alright, that's it. That's what I've been loving for the past couple of months. And like I said, there was a lot more, but this video is already long enough, I feel like. So I hope you enjoyed watching my favorites. Let me know what your favorites were or what you think of these products, and I will see you in the next video.